Shall I start?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In last session, somebody was asking one question about trade-off resolution, right? Hello, am I
Yes, sir.
audible to everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Swastik Deshmukh
Somebody
from
asked
BHP.
last session, during last session somebody asked what is trade-off resolution. Actually it is not trade-off resolution, it is resolution trade-off, right? And it is basically related to the spatial resolution. Now, spatial resolution has certain extent. For example, if you remind the definition of spatial resolution, that means it is the size of a pixel, and the smaller the size of the pixel, larger the information you can observe. Right? Basically, it is deal with the to identify the shape of a particular feature. So what happened that in the coarse resolution, right, where the size of a pixel is, for example, 90 meter or 1.1, for example, take example of aster data where thermal data is having spatial resolution of approximately 90 meter by 90 meter, or in Landsat OLI you have a thermal band of approximately 120 meter by 120 meter. So in it happens that within the 100 meter by 100 meter area on the surface, you can have large number of or n number of you can say that end members. End members are basically the features that you observe within a pixel, right? So in 100 meter by 100 meter, what you can have a building, you can have a road, you can have a tree, or you can have a garden also, right? So a digital number value is basically defined by the spectral response of all these features, right? So what happened that the digital number value is the cumulative response of all these features. So in case of the spatial resolution or coarse resolution data, it is very difficult to identify a particular feature. For example, if you want to identify a building within a 100 meter by 100 meter pixel, that building is approximately if 30 meter by 30 meter in dimension, you can't observe it, right? So that is the limitation of the spatial resolution. So the purpose or the potential of spatial resolution to identify the feature is bit fade off in this regard, right? So that is called as a trade-off, resolution trade-off. That means the purpose for which a particular spatial resolution is there, that purpose is not fulfilled actually, right? And this is the common problem which is associated with the thermal data. For optical data, you can have if you want to purchase the commercial data, you can get a spatial resolution up to 35 centimeter by 35 centimeter, for example in WorldView 3. But for coarser pixels, for example for the thermal data that have a coarser pixel, that gives you the information about the cumulative response of different features, right? So coarser, within the coarser resolution, you can't identify the specific feature. That is called as the resolution trade-off, right? So it is also called as a mixed pixel problem. You can observe this the other slide. I have just changed the slide. Are you able to observe it?
No, sir.
Okay, maybe it will take some time.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it will take some time, right?
Now it's visible. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Slide will change.
okay, okay. So this is also the major problem of mixed pixel. For example, in thermal remote sensing, if you deal with, you have to deal with the mixed pixel problem. Mixed pixel problem, as I said, you can get the cumulative response of every feature, right? Whatever it may be the number, all these feature, a single feature are called as the end member, and you can have the n number of cumulative response of n number of end numbers, right? This is called as a mixed pixel. So to resolve this problem, for example, I just change the next slide, maybe it will visible to you in little bit of time. So if you see the mixed pixel problem, you can easily understand this. So take an example of the Landsat data. We have a 30 meter by 30 meter pixel area, and within that there is blue color house is there, right? So the output pixel you can get the maximum response of the blue color feature, for example house, and that is why the output pixel is appear as a blue in color, right? But if you go in 5 meter resolution or 1 meter by 1 meter resolution, you can easily able to identify or differentiate the building or house and the background. So that is the problem with the coarse resolution pixel, and that is why it is called as a resolution trade-off, right? To you know to get rid of it, actually there is one technique which is called as a linear spectral mixing, right? So what in linear spectral mixing, what it has do, when you run the algorithm, what it do, it actually differentiate the different M member into the different fraction maps, right? So you can, for example, if within a pixel you have a 3 end member, then it will produce the 3 fraction map, and the value of their response is available in form of the percentage, right? So it will give you the information that within the pixel how much area is occupied by A end member, B end member, and C end member, but it will definitely doesn't give you any information about where within the pixel in which direction A is lying, or B is lying, or C is lying. So that is the problem, right? So this is the problem. This is called as the resolution trade-off, basically. Okay, now if you take an example of temporal resolution, for example, so I already told you that it is basically the frequency of revisit time, right? So for example, a satellite is revisiting a particular area in 8 days. Every time in every 8 days it particularly revisited that particular area, right? But what happened that due to sun earth configuration or due to some other things, what happened that this revisit time, maybe within a year or within a 4 months or 6 months, what happened that this revisit time may be turned to, every time it become 8, but once in a time it become 9, right? So that is called as a trade-off. Basically, it is basically a deviation on nothing, that the purpose for which the resolution is there, that purpose is not fulfilled sometimes, right? And it is basically, as it is a natural problem, it happens. Okay, any problem?
No, sir.
Okay. Shall I go? Okay, we'll go further.
So this resolution trade-off problem is with every resolution which is there, radiometric.
Basically, it is a problem which is associated with the coarser resolution data, right? When the pixel dimension is quite much high, quite much larger, in that case you will have this particular problem. And that is why yesterday I have taken one term that is pixel integrated temperature or something, pixel integrated, right? That means whatever digital number you get from a pixel, right, that digital number value is the cumulative response of each and every end member that occur within the particular pixel, right? So for example, if you have a digital number 45 for a pixel, then this 45 is the cumulative response of this building, road, vegetation, tree, and everything, whatever that comes within that pixel. So if the size of the pixel is smaller, then you can able to differentiate your objects, right? Then the purity, the completion or the 100% purity would be there, right? But the pixel size is larger. For example, take an example of the NOAA or MODIS data, right? Within the MODIS data, what happened that thermal band has approximately resolution of 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer, 1.1 kilometer by 1.1 kilometer. So within 1.1 kilometer, you can have a lot of objects, right? So the response, the digital number value of that particular pixel is a cumulative response. That's what I'm saying, right? So in finer resolution, there is absolutely no problem. But in a coarse resolution pixel, that is the problem which exists, and that is the limitation. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So we come to the last session. We have ended up yesterday at the data type. So we have already discussed about the Landsat data and Aster data. Another free optical data which is available is Sentinel-2 data, right? So Sentinel-2 data is quite good, and it is basically the program of European Space Agency, and it has approximately number of bands are 12, and specifically band number 5, 6, and 7, and 8A and 8. So these bands are particularly good for the vegetation purposes, right? So Sentinel-2 data that gives you particular information about the vegetation. Okay, so these are the free data. So far we have discussed about the free data. Now there are a lot of commercial data is also available, and you have to purchase it. So best in that business is Worldview 3 data, which has the panchromatic band, and that panchromatic band has a spatial resolution of 0.3 meter. That means 30 centimeter by 30 centimeter is the size of the pixel. So the detail is quite much visible in WorldView 3 data. Even your laptop can be visible from that, right? So that is the thing. So, but this data is commercial data, and you have to pay and you have to purchase it. Okay. Then we come to the part of microwave data. So radar set data is also there. That is also available at. You have to pay for it. Then and then another, the substitute of radar data is your Sentinel data, Sentinel-1 data, and that Sentinel-1 data is available free of cost. And there is one Alaska satellite facilities there. You visit to that website and you can download. I am changing the slide, but the problem is maybe it will take little bit of time because of the speed of the net. That is the problem.
It's still in limitation of thermal remote sensing.
And that is why I have sent it to Soham. Maybe he can upload and change it from your side. That is the problem.
It has changed now, sir. It has come to data type.
Data type, that is conventional data access hub.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. So please bear it with. Actually, the problem is because net speed is slow. Therefore, it will take some time, 4, 5, 6 seconds. It will take to come to the present slide. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Right. So in conventional data set hub, this Rus Copernicus is also there. They can provide you the data free of cost. You can go to this website and download NVSat data, which is also a radar set data. The only thing is you want to access, you have to send one proposal and they will accept of your proposal and send you the link of your data. Okay. Now, apart from that, you also have a hyperspectral data. That hyperspectral data is quite useful for the mineralogical mapping of your area because it has very high spectral resolution. So minor observation or minor change in the mineralogical composition has been easily detected by the hyperspectral sensor. So the very one useful of this hyperspectral sensor is the Hyperion, and you can download the Hyperion data from this Earth Explorer website. But the problem is Hyperion data is not available for every part of the India. Only selected scenes are there on the website. Then if you visit NRSC, National Remote Sensing Data, you can download or you can give the order of Cartosat data, that is also have the very high resolution data. Now apart from that, now these days people are also using UAVs or drone, right, for their purposes. So the benefit of this, it is completely user bias, and it has the elevated range of approximately 150 meter to 200 meter above the ground, and these can provide a very high resolution data, specifically for the topographical mapping or high resolution topographic data, right? So this is what we have discussed about the data type and specification, the type of data which is freely available in the market. Okay, so if you want to use that freely available data, although it has the coarse resolution, but there are a lot of things you can done with these data. If you want to purchase your data, you can go to some websites and other website for commercial data, and you can purchase it, right? Okay, now the question arises, okay, slide has been changed or is it still there?
Not changed. It's in conventional data.
Okay, it will take little bit of time. I mean, it come to slide number 69. What's suitable for what? If it changed, then please let me know.
Yes, sir. Now it's changed, sir.
Okay.
Sir, it's changed.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
we got it.
It's changed.
Okay, so lot of data sets are available, but the ultimate question arises that particularly what data is suitable for what purposes, right? So as a student of geology, if we see that for particular particularly geomorphology and identification of feature or structural mapping, your Sentinel-2A data is quite useful. Your Aster data, panchromatic band of Aster data or Landsat data is quite useful. That has a resolution of approximately 15 meter. So any what you can say that any structure which has a dimension of more than 15 meter by 15 meter, that can be easily visible by the Landsat data and Aster data, right? Then if you want to do some land use, land cover studies or change detection studies, again that Landsat OLI, Sentinel data, Aster visible near infrared region is quite useful. Now for the major purpose of the mineral mapping and alteration zone mapping, that is very much important. Your Aster data is quite useful, but the problem with the Aster data, you have only 6 band in shortwave infrared region, right? But there is one software which is called as NV. So NV provide you the option that you can work in the Aster mode, right? So Aster data is freely available. It is available very frequently all over the part of the India. And another one is Hyperion data, which is a hyperspectral data. That is very, very good. It has a resolution, spectral resolution of more than 220 bands. But the problem is with Hyperion data is that it is not freely that is not available for all over the India. Only selected scenes are there, right? Then for thermal phenomena, for example, temperature evaluation, for geothermal detection or something like that, you can go with the MODIS thermal band, Landsat thermal band, and Aster thermal band. Apart from that, you can also deal with the natural hazard studies. For example, your subsidence, for subsidence, flood or landslide or volcano, etc. monitoring, you can go with the microwave data. Any movement, anything which is related to the rapid movement, like earthquake, flood, landslide, subsidence, other thing, you go with the microwave data. So microwave data is particularly Sentinel-1A, which is freely available. You can download it from the Aster, this Alaska satellite facility. NVSat is there and LOS Pulsar is also there. Okay, so this is how you can select your data based on your purposes, right? And if you want to do, for example, you want to do some landslide study, then or you want to calculate the rate of the movement, then you have to rely over the microwave data. You can't do it with the help of optical data. So you should be very selective when downloading your data. Okay. Okay, now the question arises, why remote sensing is ultimately important, right? As I have already told you that remote sensing techniques are very cost effective. It reduces your effort, it reduces your time, right? So now these days people are quite frequently using the remote sensing technique. Even in GSI now these days are quite useful and quite using these remote sensing technique, and they have a special division for it, right? So why it is important? Because it provides a good spectral resolution and spatial resolution, right? So it is just like an eye in the sky. For example, you want to see something, you have a good spatial resolution data, fine spatial resolution data, and you can download it and you can observe it with your eyes, right? So it provides you a planar spectral view, planar view also. So your observation are quite benefited from these spatial resolution data, good spatial resolution data. Then it also provides a good spectral resolution data. That means your even minor differences within the composition can be easily determined, right? So if you have two objects which are closely related to each other, and if you use high spectral resolution data, you can easily able to observe the minor differences between them, right? Another thing, it has a broad regional coverage, right? For the local purposes, you can't use remote sensing. But if you want to use the optical data or any other data for the smaller area, then you should go with the very small swath. For example, you have to go with this ICONOS data or Cartosat data or your worldview data and etc. Right? So it provides you a regional coverage. So you can easily identify the regional features very easily. Right? Then it also allows a free and quick acquisition of the data, right? You want to download your data at high temporal resolution, satellite provide you that, right? So you can get data, each and every data at 15 days interval or 8 days interval or 10 days interval. So it is quite useful for the time series related analysis. For example, I have given already you the example of flood, right? Then then it is also very cost effective. You can download the things at free of cost, and you can use this free satellite data at your institute, or now these days every department also have a GIS lab or remote sensing lab, so you can download your data and you can use it. So a lot of these software are also there, not a lot of freeware are also there. For example, if you want to use the free GIS data, the QGIS is also available, so you can use it, right? Then for example, if you want to use microwave data, so you can also download a freeware software which has been developed by the European Space Agency. The name of the software is SNAP. So you can download microwave data, you can freely download the software also, and they also provide you the tutorials. So you can see the tutorials and do your job. But our only thing is that SNAP is a little bit slower, so it will take some time, but it will fulfill your purposes. Then it also provides the historical archive data, right? So if you want to see the change, or if you want to see something in 2001, you can easily have the data of 2001 also. So you can compare your 2001 data, or you can compare your data at yearly interval or annual interval, right? So these are the basic importance or basic advantage of remote sensing data sets, right? So okay, now if we see the advantages and disadvantages, we have already discussed the advantages with you. The only disadvantage is that once you process your data, pre-process or process your data, then or you compile your result from the remote sensing data set, then you have to go to the field and validate your results. That is the thing. For example, if you use the Hyperion data for your area and you have already prepared the lithological map or mineral map, then you have to ultimately go to the field and validate them. That means whatever you have done is whether up to what level it has been correct or not. That is the thing. So for that there is one technique which is called as the confusion matrix. You can validate your data with that. So remote sensing data set or results which are derived from the remote sensing data set, they strictly need this ground truth or ground validation. Okay. Now another thing is it is very difficult to apply for a smaller area. For example, if you want to do very detailed studies, right, then your area might be 10 square kilometer by 10 square kilometers. So in that case, remote sensing has its own limitations, right? So if you want to or if you have the very smaller area, then you have to purchase your high resolution data, high spatial resolution data, and that available with the cost, right? And another thing is which is really very important, that you need to have a technique or have an idea how to pre-process or process your data within the software. I mean, each and everything now these days in remote sensing has been done on a software platform. So MB is the software platform, then ADAS Imagine is there, your ArcGIS is there, right? eCognitions is there, and SARscape is there, SARPros is there. So all these are software. They basically require a technical expertise to pre-process and process your data for better results. So that is the major disadvantage of it. Okay. So globally, if you see that there are lot many satellites and revolving each and every orbit. So if you have any question so far, you can ask, or we will move forward. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes,
But
sir.
on
If
slide
there
are
any
visible
problem, if
properly.
there any problem, you can ask questions, or we'll move.
I think there are no doubts. You can continue.
Okay. Now slide has changed or not? It is error in remote sensing data. Has it changed?
Sir, no, sir, not changed. It's still in what suitable for what.
It will take 5.
Sir, Abhishek Jain can start sharing.
Okay,
Abhishek, I
going
did
to
it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sharing.
Abhishek, then
Yes,
you
sir.
try. You try it.
Abhishek is sharing, so I should stop sharing.
Yes.
Okay, I will stop sharing. Okay, come to slide number 74.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's visible now?
Yes, sir.
It's about to be visible, I think. Okay, error in remote sensing data, right? So, come
Wait,
to
sir.
next
Wait, sir.
slide.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
go to the full screen mode, possible.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So
Now
I,
good. Okay, yeah. Okay. Now, so we'll take it error in remote sensing and conversion very shortly. Thing is, when satellite or a sensor is capture some data, right, or scan the surface of the earth, then there might be some problem in its geometry, or sometimes problem in that that quantization level, right? So there might be a change in the value of the digital number values, right, or the shape of a pixel particularly, right? So these are basically termed as a noise, or you can call it as an error, right? So now these days, when you download the data from any website, they will ask you for the raw data, or you want to download it in geometrically corrected or terrain corrected data. So they provide the corrected data to you, so there is absolutely no problem. So but I think we'll discuss little bit things about that. Okay, so change the next slide.
yes, sir.
Okay, next.
Yes, sir. So now it's
Again,
visible?
next. Yeah, it's visible. Go to next.
Yes, sir. So wait.
Next.
Yes, sir. Wait. Image quality, sir?
Yeah. Okay. It is visible now. Right. So nice. So image quality is basically affected by these errors, right? So these error could be because of the environment. That mean that your radiation has to be interact with the atmosphere before reaching to the sensor. So in the meantime, it has scattered, or because of the cloud or aerosol particle or something like that. So your atmospheric scattering there, right? Or your sensor system sometime act malfunctioning, or malfunction sometime, right? It's not work in a calibrated manner, it work in an uncalibrated manner. So that is why we also face some error there, or improper pre-processing of the data. That means improper pre-processing, that means it is completely depend upon the user. If I am not able to pre-process our data, because of that the quality of the image has been distorted. And another one, last one, is your data analysis. For example, if you try to convert your data or analyze your data or process your data, in that time also your quality of the image has been distorted sometimes. Okay, change the next slide. Okay, so error is basically of two type. One is systematic, one is geometric error, another one is your radiometric error. In radiometric error, it is nothing but it is a deviation of digital number values. Your digital number value has been changed from actual, right? So your error could be of internal error or external error, right? It could be your systematic error, or it could be your non-systematic error, right? Systematic error is basically sensor driven, right? For example, within the sensor, it malfunction, or sometime due to any reason, or any particle or anything which is not working properly, because of that systematic error occur, right? And these error can be easily rectified once you know the type of error, right? Once you know the internal calibration, then you can easily able to rid of these error. Now in case of the external error, these are non-systematic error. That means these are not derived from the system, they are external error derived by some other factors, for example, from atmospheric scene characteristics or anything, and then these error can also be changed when you need certain parameter to rectify these error. Okay, next. Next. Okay, so your geometric error, like I said, it is also of two types. One is systematic, non-systematic. Non-systematic required GCPs, ground control point, to get rid of these error, and systematic error can be rectified once the internal sensor knowledge is known. Okay, so geometric error can be easily get rectified. Now there is absolutely no problem with geometric error because data you download is already geometrically corrected. So there is absolutely no problem. Your data which you get is already geometrically corrected. And if you want to download raw data is also there, but you need to convert, or you need to rectify it geometrically. Okay, next. Okay, next again. Okay, so systematic distortion is basically due to change in the scan velocity. We all know that in Visboost sensor we have discussed that we have a rotating mirror, right? So sometime because of the rotation, or this rotation is not constant with the direction of the flight, with the movement of the flight. So because of this rotation, some distortion occur in the scanning process, right? Apart from that, platform velocity is also a factor. Platform, that means satellite, right? So satellite or aircraft over which your sensor is on board. So your when the velocity of the platform has been changed a little bit, then scanning is also scanning of the particular surface over the surface of the earth is also has been varied. So your mirror rotation also plays important role, and simultaneously your platform or satellite or your aircraft also plays a very important role in systematic distortion. Next. So next is your earth rotation, right? So because satellite has moved in a fixed orbital path with respect to the rotation of the earth, right? So any shift in the ground swath, or any shift in the earth rotation, or any shift in these in the orbital path with respect to the earth rotation leads to the certain skewness or change in the scanning. So scan or scan line has been shifted a little bit depending upon its movement. So this is another type of error which has been arises because of the earth rotation. Next slide. Right, in next slide we have a skewness. For example, the scanner, which we have a scanner has maintained a constant center with respect to the earth and with respect to the direction of the flight, or with respect to the travel direction, right? So if there is any change in the respect in these two features, it can also lead you to the orientation or displacement of the these images, right? So this is on also other type of the geometrical error, right? Now right, so another thing is your non-systematic. Change the next slide. Right. So non-systematic distortion is basically the distortion or the factors which are the external factor, which are the distortion which are induced by the external factor. So for example, if you have a topographic variation, a very high topographic variation, then this sort of error you can get, right? The relief has been changed, you can get the error, or sometime the altitude of the platform has been changed, you get this type of error, right? So these are the non-systematic distortion. Next. Okay, next. Again, next. So altitude variation, non-systematic distortion is again cause the change in the field of view and instantaneous field of view. It caused the change in swath as well as in the size of the pixel. So you can say that, see that for example you have an aircraft or a satellite. If majorly it happen in case of the satellite, if you have a rolling movement, or if you have some other type of pitching movement, then your scanning or image has been distorted a little bit or displaced from its original position. Okay, next. Okay, next. Now we come to the part of the radiometric error, right? So these are the basically error, these are basically the noise which actually change the brightness value. So brightness values are nothing but the digital number values, which are ranges from 0 to 255. We have already discussed about that in our yesterday lectures. So what happened, that it happened because of the atmosphere content. Whenever the radiation has been interacted with the atmosphere before reaching the sensor, what happened, that the brightness value has been changed because of these noise. So they ultimately create the error, right? So these error type of error are called as the radiometric errors, because these error are related with the quantization of the energy which sensor received, right? Next. Okay, so your system error, your could be your line dropout. It could be terminology wise, it could be called as a line dropout. For example, if we have a defect in the sensor system, then it result in the production of strip lines, right, where the no data is available. So it would be called as a dropout. It could be called as a line stripping. For example, it caused because of decalibration of the sensor or the detector, right? Line bending is there because of the forward and the backward motion of the satellite. So there is a variation. If there is a variation of the neighboring forward and the backward scan, then these random noise has been created. And apart from that, others, for example, during the transmission of the data, some error occur. These are called as a random error or random noise, right? So these are basically 4 type of the system error, which are these are the radiometric error which is related to the system, right? Next. Okay, for example, if you see that, you can find out that there are dark color lines are there, strip lines are there. So within these dark lines are basically showing the completely dark pixel. So that means that within these dark lines you have no digital number values. The values within these dark lines are completely 0. So in Landsat ATM Plus, that line was quite prominent because of the because some error was happened and in the sensor or the detector, and because of that Landsat 7, after I think 2007, it provide you the stripped images, something like that. So these are the error. So when you going to download data, they ask you that if you want to download the corrected data or not. So what happened, they have done, they based on the nearest neighborhood or cubic convolution resampling technique, they have filled the data. They have provided or filled these black color gaps with respect to the nearby data, right? So that data is actually a resample data. So on right hand side you can see that there is a resample data. There is a line, but they can provide you the resample. They provide you the resample data. So they ask for that option if you want to download the resample data or raw data. To download the raw data, it would be appear as a strip line. Okay, next. Next. Okay, so we have discussed about the system errors. System errors are basically related to the decalibration of the satellite sensors, right? It has been related to the defect occur within the detector or a sensor. Now non-systematic errors are basically something which is external errors, because it is related with the atmospheric effect, it is related with the elevation effect or altitude effect or something like that. For example, one error is your dark pixel. For example, dark pixel are that name itself suggests that some pixels are completely black in color, appear completely black in color, right? That means they have the 0 value. So that happened because of the scattering and absorption due to the path radiance. So path radiance is a major factor which causes the darkness of the pixel. So path radiance is nothing but these are some, we all know that some particles are actually present within the atmosphere, right? So these particles also emit radiation downward, right? So whatever emitted from these particles present within the atmosphere, that radiation, if it goes upward and detected by the sensor, they result in the error. So these are called as the upwelling radiance or path radiance, right? And the emitted radiance from the particle toward the surface is called as a downwelling radiation. So that upwelling radiation or your path radiance is actually caused the darkness of the pixel, right? And this also causes the hazy. If the effect of path radiance is quite much, then you can see the haziness within the images. Apart from that, due to the abrupt change in the topography or abrupt change in the slope or the aspect, some non-systematic errors are also there. So they also cause the topographic change or topographic error within the images. So when you go to download the satellite images, they will again ask you for the option of if you want to download the T1 data or data is terrain corrected data, topographically corrected data. Next. Okay, see the example. For example, this is the shortwave infrared image, right? And if you see the values, these square box are the pixels. If you see some green color pixels are there, right? So these pixels are basically the dark pixel. You can see the corresponding values. The corresponding values are approximately 0.55. The adjacent pixel values are quite good, but 1 pixel or 2 pixels show the abrupt absorbed value, very low scale values, right? So these are basically the dark pixels. So what we have to do, how we remove that dark pixel, what we have done, we remove the 0.55 value, that is the value of the dark pixel from the entire scene, right? So that is how we used to correct our systematic errors or dark pixel related error. Next. Okay, next. Okay, correction of the remote sensing data set, right? So we'll discuss a little bit thing about that. For example, the correction are the part of the pre-processing, right? So we have a geometric errors, we have a radiometric errors, right? In radiometric errors, we need to follow the atmospheric correction and we need to follow the cosmetic correction. Cosmetic correction, that means these correction which are related with the which make the scenes your image useful, right? For example, you have a completely black line, then what they do, they actually refill your data and provide you a complete resampled image, right? So what we have to do, we have to do some cosmetic correction and atmospheric correction which are related with the dark pixel or something like that, or path radiance. Another one is the geometric correction. For example, if you have some distortion within the image, you can go for the geometric correction. So before using your data, you need to pre-process your satellite images based on these corrections. Okay, next. Okay, so we have already discussed about the radiometric correction or radiometric errors. These are basically the errors or inconsistency within the brightness values, right? So your brightness values are nothing but the range of digital number values or radiometric resolution values. Okay, next. Okay, we have already discussed that the type of errors which we got, right? For example, line dropout, line bending or stripping and something like that. So what they actually do, come to the next slide. Okay, so if you see that particular image, these images have a linear or a line or the dark lines, right? So if you see the corresponding dark line, you can have the zero values correspond to these lines, right? So what they do actually, they take the average value of a particular row, the corresponding row. Within the zero, they have the average value, and they take the average of the above value and the lower value, and they ultimately give the zero value to these average values, right? So based on these things, they have completely resampled your data or completely filled the data in the zero position, right? So ultimately the output image you got the completely developed image, right, which doesn't have a zero value, right? So this is how they do the cosmetic correction for line dropouts. Okay, next. So that is basically a filled data. Okay, for example, take example, this is the line have a zero values, it is complete, it shows the complete absorption. So what they do, in the first column they take the average of the adjacent upper average and the upper value and the lower value average, right, and they ultimately fill that that average in the zero positions, right? So this is how they do the correction or radiometric correction, which are induced by the detector or decalibration within the detector or the problem with associated with the detectors or the sensors. Okay, next. 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 Yeah, so another thing is your line bending, right? For example, line bending, that for example, if a particular satellite have a 4 sensor, right, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and the histogram of so a particular area within the surface of the earth has been detected by all 4 sensors, right? So sensor 1 show the histogram, sensor 2 again the same histogram, and all the sensor, for example sensor number 1, 2, 3 and 4, all the sensors, or not sensor but detectors lie within the sensor, they actually scan the same surface of the area and they have to show the same histogram. But ultimately what histogram, so for example, if in the detector number 4 you get the varying histogram, then what they do, they actually match this histogram with respect to the other detectors, right? So this is how this is called as a line bending. And once this correction has been done, this the output image you got is called as the de-stripped image, right? Come to next slide. It is called as a de-stripped image, right? So this is how they do the line bending kind of thing. Next. 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 Okay, so these are, we have already discussed that atmospheric correction or dark pixel subtraction we have already discussed. So if we have a systematic error, systematic radiometric error, that is error which is related with the decalibration of the sensor or the detector, then we have to replace our zero data with respect to the average data or field data of adjacent up and down row number. And if we have these non-systematic error or external errors, radiometric error, that error basically comes from the path radiance, then we have to follow this dark pixel subtraction or some of these kind of method, right, to remove the value of these dark pixel. So that we have already discussed. Okay, next. Okay, next. So these dark pixel, for example, dark pixel error is basically related with the path radiance. So if you see that particular image on the left hand side, you have a reflectance value before the atmospheric correction, and on the right hand side you can see the reflectance value after the atmospheric correction, right? And if you see the spectra of a particular spectra, you can say that within the A is correspond to the reflectance value before the correction. You can see that there is some sort of absorption in there in the vegetation area, right? This is the spectral vegetation curve, and before correction what it show the not a corresponding very good curve of vegetation, right? Once you correct it, after the correction you get the B spectral, you can see the B spectral curve, and that spectral curve is quite correspond to this your actual vegetation curve. So this is how you have to do the radiometric correction or atmospheric correction before processing your data or analyzing your data. Okay, next. Right. So far we have discussed about the correction or the external correction in optical data or shortwave infrared data, right? So these the effect of path radiance or upwelling radiation has been occur in part of these dark pixel subtraction in the visible or optical data. For example, now in case of the thermal atmospheric correction, you again have to see the value of atmospheric transmittance and upwelling, right? So if you have take an example of the Aster data. Within the Aster thermal infrared region, we have 5 temperature band or thermal band. So that if you apply the correction, and you need to apply the correction, if you get the L stand for the spectral radiance, right? Lambda is stand for this wavelength, and C is for the correction. So corrected spectral radiance is basically equal to the difference of your original spectral radiance minus your path radiation or upwelling radiation. So the value of this upwelling radiation or path radiance has been come from these graphs, right? So you can say that you have to take the minimum you have to select the temperature band which has the minimum upwelling and the maximum transmittance, right? So on the basis of that you need to use your thermal data. Okay, next. Okay, now come to the part of geometric corrections. We have seen that geometric errors or geometric distortion are occur because of the systematic error, because of the variation in the altitude, or maybe difference in the path and the sensor system. Satellite data, right? So the technique which allow you the geometric correction is called as a georeferencing, right? You already probably heard this particular term. Come to next slide. Okay, so georeferencing is nothing but it is basically a technique of giving a coordinate system to your image with respect to the coordinate system of the map or the actual coordinate of the ground, right? So what we do, we try to give the pixel actual coordinate with respect to the geographical coordinate on the surface of the earth, right? So this technique is particularly called as a georeferencing. Next. Okay, so what you have to do once, if you want to use the time series data, for example, if you want to see the flood or something, you want to use it time series data, and you want to overlay your feature exactly over the over one another, right? So your pixel within the image, within the two corresponding image, should be lie exactly over each other, right? So this is how this, for this reason particularly, we use the image to image registration. So if you use the, if you see the right, from where it is basically called. Yes. Hello.
Yes, sir. Your voice is breaking. That's one.
Okay. Now is it clear or not?
Now it's fine.
This side is clear. Yes, it's clear.
So map to map registration, for example, if you want to do the time series data, time series analysis, then in time series analysis case, you want to see the particular feature within the interval of time. So what you have to do, you have to overlay two corresponding images of the same area over one another, right? So this process is called as a image to image registration or georeferencing, right? So what you have to do, you take one image as a base image and correspond to which you have to georeference or registered your another images, right? So that they all images are combined or overlaid together in a same coordinate system. Okay, next. Okay, so how do we, next slide. How do we do that? There is one component in image registration which is next again, which is called as ground control points, right? So ground control points, these are called as the GCPs. Ground control points are nothing but these are those points whose actual coordinate or actual latitude, longitude values are known to us, right? So these points are called as a ground control point. So these points act as a pin to attach another image which we want to georeference, right? So these points are very much important, and these are basically those points whose actual location on the surface of the earth is known, and we can use this ground control point to pin or to register our another images. Next. Okay, next. Okay, so the large, how much georeferencing point we has to take, it totally depend upon us, right? Larger the number of the georeference point, accuracy is much more. And for example, then again we have to transfer our image, georeference image, the image, base image to the georeference image, then degree of polynomial order is required. For example, if you use the first order transformation, then you have to take minimum 3 GCPs point and so on, right? So your order of transformation and your GCPs are the important factor for the georeferencing, right? So to convert the base image to the georeference image, it uses the polynomial equations basically, right? So for first order of polynomiation, if you use, then you have to give minimum 3 GCPs and so on. Okay, next. And finally, we also need to calculate the root mean square error between the predicted or the georeference image or the total image or the observed image or the actual image, right? So these root mean square is the essential criteria which provide you the accuracy of your georeference system or that corrected image, that provide you the accuracy of corrected image. Okay, next. Okay, then I think it's already over 4 o'clock, so we should stop it here. And again, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we'll again start from resampling, right? So once you georeference your data, then there is one option is also there, your pixel values has to be changed, right? The dimension of the pixel value has to be changed once you georeference your or correct your data. So that is called as a resampling. So your original dimension has been changed to the new one. So that is called as a resampling. And resampling or resampled image or the corrected image is actually you have the corrected image. If you have the corrected image, then you have a different size of the pixel. So that different size of the pixel comes because of the resampling, right? So we discussed day after tomorrow about the resampling. Right, and day after tomorrow we take one case study or example of application of the remote sensing, that is how lithology has been discriminated or how this mineral has been identified from the satellite data or Hyperion data, right? So we'll discuss about that. Okay, so if you have any question till now, you can ask.
So can you explain order of transformation again, if possible?
Order of transformation, that means if you have one base image, right, your master image, right, the coordinate system of which you want to give to the other images also, right? So basically you want to transform or you want to change your base image to the corrected images or geometrically corrected images, right? So once you want to transform that image, you need to use one algorithm which is of polynomial equation, right? So if you want to change or transfer your transfer your base image to the corrected image, then you have to use first order of polynomial equation if you are using minimum 3 GCPs, right? So you have to select 3 GCPs or 3 ground control points, then the software automatically uses first order of polynomial equation for transfer of your or transforming your base image to the rectified image. That is, I think this is actually a little bit become difficult to understand until unless you don't do the practical. So once university will open, then we'll have one practical on it, right? So there is absolutely no problem. Then these things would be very clear. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Any other question?
Hello, sir. What is image digitization?
Image digitization is basically nothing but, for example, you have an image, right, and you have a different type of feature. For example, you have a river, right, or a road, or you have any building or something like that. So digitization is nothing but you convert your feature data, that means your object data, right, that is present or that is visible over the image to vector format. Vector format, that means in the line, polygon or point format, right? You want to change your feature into the vector format, that is called as a image digitization. So that vector formation, vector layers or image digitization is an important factor when or important things when you use the GIS, right, that is Geographical Information System. So keep remember that remote sensing and Geographic Information System are completely different. Within Geographic Information System, what we do, we collect the information from the different areas, right, and try to compile that within the same platform so that we can get the information of our use within the instant of time. For example, take an example of railway reservation, right, or take an example of your train running status, right. So within train running status, you have information about every train, right, every station is location is also there, right. So but what you do, so everything has been compiled in a GIS format, and ultimately when you ask for a particular train, it will give you the information. Similar to that, within the GIS you can digitize a different layer or different features, and you compile all these digital format within single system, right, so that you can get the information within any instant of time of your purpose, information of your purpose. Okay.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Any other question?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, one by one.
Can you
Okay.
please explain the cosmetic correction?
Cosmetic correction is nothing but, for example, we have discussed that in radiometric errors, right? Radiometric errors are nothing but inconsistency in the digital number values, right? Your actual digital number value has been deviated from due to some reason, right? So what happened that the system, for example, in a satellite sensor system, what happened that your satellite sensor system has been sometime malfunctioned, right? It doesn't work properly, and because of that reason, what happened that some strip has been recognized over the image, right? Yani ki, that means your data has been missed at some places, right? So if you see that, right, so what you have to do, if you want to use that particular data, you can't use that in the same fashion that in the no value areas, right? So what you have to do, you have to change or replace your no values from the average of the adjacent values, upper and lower row adjacent values, right? So these are the filled data, right? There is a gap, there is a no value data which is a gap, so we try to fill that gap with some algorithms, right? That is called as the cosmetic corrections, right? For example, come to next slide. Soham, Abhishek, or anyone change the next slide? Next again. Okay, if you see that you have a previous one, that figure. Yeah. Okay. So if you see that, if you see these. So these square box has some values, and each square box is representing a digital number values, right? So you have a 43, 47, 51 and all these values in rows and column, right? And if you see third row, you can have the zero values, right? There is a completely gap, completely black pixels are there, right? So there is no value over there. So what they have to do, how we have to do, then we have to replace this value with some numbers, right? So that we can get a complete image. So what we have to do, we used to take the for example, we take the first 0, and above which you have a value of 40 and lower you have a value of 38. So we take the average of 40 and 38, then it comes to 39, right? So we replace that 0 value to 39, right, by 39, right? So this is how we can get a filled data, right? Your 0 or line or your complete black line has been filled with some data, right? So this is called as a resampling, right? So when we discuss it tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we'll discuss about the resampling. What is resampling? How we perform the resampling? So we use nearest neighborhood or bilinear interpolation or something like that, some technique to fill this particular data, right? I'm giving you the simplest example. Take the average of the adjacent pixel and refill the value, right? So apart from that, there are some complex algorithms are there for filling of this data. So data you get ultimately is filled. It is not actual data, it is a filled data, right? So that is the thing. That is a cosmetic correction. We change the, you change the images actually, right? That is the thing. That is called as a cosmetic errors. Okay. Clear?
Sir, how
Okay,
yes,
sir, got it.
sir, how can we obtain these digital numbers 43, 47, 51?
How to obtain this digital number? Okay, so in last session, if you have seen that we have talked about the radiometric resolution, right? So radiometric resolution is nothing but it is basically the object response which are received by the sensor, right? Now that response is received or quantized at in number of bit, right? For example, 8-bit, 12-bit, 2-bit, right? So most commonly the energy or sensor response are quantized in 8-bit fashion, 8-bit level, right? 8-bit means 2 to the power 8. So your values, your digital number values, that is the digital number value is nothing but a values, a mathematical value, numerical value assigned to a particular pixel. So that value has been ranged from 0 to 255 in case of the 8-bit level. 8-bit means 2 to the power 8, that comes 256. So range has been so if you see the range, that has been done from 0 to 255. That means 0 representing completely black pixels and 255 is representing completely white pixels. Okay, so this is how we get the these pixel values. Okay.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Sir,
Yeah.
what is the band interleaved by pixel and band interleaved by line?
Please repeat your question.
What is the band interleaved by pixel and what is the band interleaved by line?
Band interleaved.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Band interleaved by pixel.
Okay, I didn't understand exactly your question. I think you are asking with relation to your this band stripping or something like that.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Come to the band stripping. Come to the this yeah, histogram part. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So within within the sensors we have a detectors, right? For example, we have 4 detectors, right? Number 1, 2, 3 and 4. So these detectors, what it do, it scan a particular same area, right? So it give you the histogram. Detector 1 give you the histogram, detector 2 give you the histogram. Histogram is nothing but a frequency distribution curve, right? Third detector give you the histogram and fourth detector give you the histogram. So what happened that if these detectors are scanning the same area, then all the detectors should have a same histogram, right? या frequency distribution curve would be the same, but sometime due to the malfunctioning of one detector, what happened that one detector doesn't have the similar type of a histogram. For example, if you see the figure, you have a detector 1, 2, 3, they have the same sort of histogram, but your detector number 4 doesn't have a same sort of histogram, right? So what they actually do, how we have to correct it? We have to correct that particular histogram similar to 1, 2 and 3, right? So once we do that, right, using a mathematical operation and some complex algorithm, once we do that, we get another image which is called as a D-stripped image, right, which is called as a D-stripped image. So this is also a cosmetic type of a cosmetic error, right? This error is an external error, has happened, or internal error. It happened because of the malfunctioning of your detector system or within a sensor system. Okay, is it clear?
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other question? If anybody want to ask?
सर पिक्सल वैल्यू स्पेटियल से रिलेटेड होता है क्या? स्पेटियल रिजोल्यूशन से?
फिर से बोलिए
सर पिक्सल वैल्यू जो है वो स्पेटियल रिजोल्यूशन से अटैच होता है क्या?
नहीं, पिक्सल वैल्यूज जो हैं वो रेडियोमेट्रिक रिजोल्यूशन से रिलेटेड। आपका स्पेशियल रिजोल्यूशन का मतलब है कि पिक्सल का डायमेंशन क्या है, स्पेक्ट्रल रिजोल्यूशन का मतलब है कि वेवलेंथ, कौन कौन से वेवलेंथ रीजन में डेटा लिया जा रहा है, कितने नंबर ऑफ वेवलेंथ रेंज में लिया गया है डेटा। रेडियोमेट्रिक रिजोल्यूशन का मतलब है कि जो एनर्जी रिस्टोर करता है या रिस्पॉन्स सेंसर स्टोर करता है, जब उसको आप इमेज में कन्वर्ट करते हैं तो वो एनर्जी रिस्पॉन्स पिक्सल के फॉर्म में आते हैं, राइट। सो उन पिक्सल को जो नंबर दिया जाता है वो बिट के लेवल पे दिया जाता है, जैसे कि 2 to the power 2, 2 to the power 8, तो मतलब 256 हो गए पिक्सल वैल्यूज होनी चाहिए, यानी कि उसको रेंज में जब कन्वर्ट करोगे तो 0 to 55 वैल्यू होंगी, 255, और हर वैल्यू 0 से 255 एक ग्रे स्केल में वैल्यू होगी। ये मैं सिंगल ग्रे स्केल इमेज की बात कर रहा हूँ, राइट। तो पिक्सल का जो नंबर है दैट इज रिलेटेड विद द रेडियोमेट्रिक रेजोल्यूशन, दैट इज नॉट रिलेटेड विद द spectral resolution. Spectral resolution is related with the wavelength range. We talk about wavelength range, that is spectral. Okay.
Okay sir, thank you.
Okay. Any other question?
Hello sir.
जी बताइए।
What is DN?
Your voice is not audible.
Sir, what is DN value?
DN value is the digital number values. These are the radiometric, these based on the radiometric energy quantization, or these the digital values are the numerical value which is assigned to a particular pixel. किसी pixel को जो value दी जाती है numerical value, that is called as the digital number value, and it depend upon the radiometric resolution of the data. If you have a radiometric resolution of 8 bit, then the value are ranges from 0 to 255. If your radiometric resolution is of 12 bit, then your range of values are from 0 to 4095. Okay, so it is related with radiometric resolution. So digital number values are the numerical values which are assigned to a particular pixel based on the radiometric resolution. Okay.
Yes sir, thank you.
Okay, any other question? Okay, no, there is no, if there is no question, we will conclude that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if slot is open for tomorrow, day after tomorrow, I'll try to, I want to take lecture in the morning session. If is it possible, you guys discuss and let me know, right? So day after tomorrow, we'll deal with this resampling, right? And how to convert our digital number values to radiance and reflectance value. And the third thing, we'll deal with one case study. Case study is basically your application of remote sensing for mineral exploration. Okay, as we are all students of geology, we'll deal with that. Okay, so that you can get a little bit idea of application of remote sensing in the field of geology. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Good day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
All the participants can leave for today. It's all done. Thank you for your patience and discipline.
असाइनमेंट हो गया सबका?